Hopefully, nothing has exploded and I'm actually live now. Unless everything is messing up. But that shouldn't be the case. That said, how's it going, everybody? Hopefully, I'm able to actually see my chat. Maybe. Possibly. I don't see it at all, though. I think things are broken. Are they? If you guys can hear me, let me know. That way I can actually know that things are working and functional. It broke. I'm not here. Oh, God. Let us see here. Ideally, in a perfect world, everything should be working. Let us see if that is the case. And it says stream health, but it's not telling me if things are functional or not. There we go. Okay, so things are actually functional. Okay, so it's just my Streamlabs that's messed up. Excellent. My favorite. I love it when technology actually does what I want it to do. Except when it doesn't do what I want it to do, which is practically all the time. That said, how's it going, everybody? I know that I'm about 2 minutes late, but I was actually talking with a bunch of other people in my Discord and lost track of time a little bit because I am horrible at scheduling already, and getting me in a conversation with anybody doesn't really improve things. But, that said, that title. So, Tanzi Bradshaw, I can't pronounce things. I'm sorry. You're asking what that title actually means. It means it's going to be horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Also, you guys can swear here, obviously. Like, unless you're actively attacking somebody, I don't care. Or if you're using pejoratives that are meant only to incite issues, then yeah, at that point I'll also hold issue. But, aside from that, everything should be fine. I can't actually see how many viewers we have because my computer is not doing anything right. I'm so happy that it's not working. It's just my favorite. My favorite of all time. But, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully everybody's doing okay. And today we are going to be talking about biblical gender roles. Again, because the website's totally not horrible at all. Oh, Mark Caesar, as for what happened to the goatee, I had the goatee, and I'm probably going to be growing it back out, but I got to a point where Pam would not kiss me because it was too prickly, and I finally said, screw it, I'm just cutting it all off. So, and yes, Ronald, biblical gender roles is always horrible. There's really no way around it. So, that said, we'll go ahead and continue into it in just a second. I wanted to go ahead and do a few announcements. Tomorrow is going to be a collaboration with me and Atheist Edge. If you guys are not already signed up onto his channel and subscribed, please go ahead and go do so. They've got a lot of interesting conversations with people like Aaron Raw, Richard Carrier, Matt Dillahunty. So if you want to see all of that, I'm also on that channel. So is Holy Kool-Aid and Prophet of Zod and a lot of other YouTubers that you might know. In fact, the first time that I ever went Facecam, I was on their channel. Because I was live at Faithless Forum and did an interview back when I had like 300 subscribers. So if you guys want to see that, then yeah. And a plumper Jeranism. Possibly the most insulting thing I've ever been called. It's okay, though. I don't mind. That said, whenever this is all done, I'm probably going to take a little bit of time and hop into my Discord and talk in the voice chat in there with anybody who wants to chat. So go ahead and let me know if you guys want to do that. Discord links are in the description as per usual. Get yourself some beard oil. They don't do that much and it makes your hair softer. I'm going to have to do that. I've made it a point for years to just constantly shave this area and never actually have a beard that I have to maintain, but I might have to do that. I'll probably have to do that. So, I was looking through the Biblical Gender Roles website because I think for the time being, until I get another group project going, Mondays are just going to be Biblical Gender Roles days. These are going to be the days where we start delving into all of their stuff. I've done it for 3 episodes so far. Might as well do more of that. Oh boy. So, let's go ahead and look right in, as per usual. The next thing that I wanted to say, though, before we do that, this is the next announcement, last announcement, I promise, is that there will be 2 new avatars appearing on the channel. One you got a glimpse of in the thumbnail. That one has been done by Gaelic Knox. I don't know if I have her stuff in the description. If I don't, she is in Discord, so you guys can contact her through there, and then I'll try to get her stuff in the description as well. please go ahead, and if you have any art that you want to get done in her style, then go ahead and do that. I will also have my friend Tide, who is owner of Turning Tide Studio. She does a webtoon. I've advertised it a few times, once on my channel, a few times on Twitter. But she is going to be doing another avatar in a different style, and she just recently advertised in my Discord as well. So those would be two artists that, if you want to, and if you have any art that needs to be done, commissioned for anything, even like a project, or if you just want to have an avatar for a forum, then I would suggest talking to either of them. They make really good art, and I'm going to be flipping between both of the avatars that they have for me on my channel, depending on the tone of whatever video that I'm going into. So, that's the thing. Also, pure ostentation. I saw your your fan art of me, finally, and that was awesome. I'm, with your permission, I want to have that video play on one of my episodes during the fan art section, if that's okay with you. I know I normally do that with the image fan art, but there's nothing about that video that I don't want to show on a channel. So if possible, I would like to showcase it in a fan art section on one of my episodes, if that's the case. The old one holds a special place in my heart, and it's not like the old one's never going to be used. I'm still going to use it every once in a while. But unfortunately, one of the things that I did want to make a point of, thanks Ostentation, by the way, one of the things I want to make a point of on my channel is to always be improving and always be trying to move forward with it. That way it doesn't stagnate. So updating the visuals of the channel is something that I want to do. The next thing that I'm probably going to be updating is the screen that videos pop up on. I'm going to figure out what I want to do to improve the look and quality of that. I'm not quite sure how I want to go about that yet, though. I'll probably talk with some of my other more artsy friends and see what they suggest. But that said, let's go ahead and get right into the absolute madness that is biblical gender roles. Now that I'm finally done stalling, and I'm finally going to go through with it. So, as per usual, I will be narrating what they say in here, and it is another one of those longer articles, so there is no guarantee that we'll actually be able to get to everything in a single sitting. But that's fine. That is perfectly fine, because we don't need to. We just need to cover the big points. So let's start out by the first paragraph saying, many Christians believe that the only way a woman can be unfaithful to her husband is by having sex with other men other than her husband. Today we call this adultery, but in the Bible, adultery was a two-sided coin. In the book of Ezekiel, the prophet writes the following concerning Israel's unfaithfulness to her husband, which was God, you adulterous wife who takes strangers instead of her husband. In the above passage, we see that there are two parts to adultery, or what we would call marital unfaithlessness in the part of the wife, or unfaithfulness. When a wife takes men other than her husband, when a wife does not take her husband. All right, so we've already got a problem. We've already begun with a huge issue. So, obviously, what is considered unfaithful to me is a little bit different than what's considered unfaithful to the norm, only because I'm polyamorous, which means to me, having sex with other people, that's not necessarily a problem. Pam wants to go ahead and do that. Cool. The only stipulation is that there has to be an open line of communication. If I say no, then it doesn't happen. If she says no, then it doesn't happen. When you're polyamorous, these things are a little more open. That's not straight up, oh, you had sex with somebody else. That was cheating. It's, oh, you had sex with your other girlfriend. That's different. So, and if anybody wants more explanations on that, I might do an episode on polyamory at some point. But that second part, when it says, when a wife does not take her husband, that is referring to sex. I don't see there's any way that that could not be referring to sex. And here's reasons why I have a problem with it. Let's assume you're in a monogamous relationship. You still have bodily autonomy. There is no point where you lose bodily autonomy once you get married, or once you're just in a relationship in general. Your partner never gets authority over your body, except in very rare circumstances where there's like a BDSM contract involved. That's different. But, so while for a monogamous couple, when a wife takes men other than her husband, yeah, sure. But it could also be when a wife takes a woman other than her partner. Maybe be a little more inclusive there. But of course, this is biblical gender roles, so inclusiveness isn't exactly the name of the game. But when a wife does not take her husband, that's just trying to say that the wife should have sex with the husband whenever he wants. That is not okay. in no way, shape, or form is that all right. If the wife does not consent to sex, if the husband does not consent to sex, then what happens there is that the other partner does not get sex. Period. End of story. Granted, this is one of the reasons why I do like polyamory, because you might find yourself in a situation where you are dating somebody who's asexual, and you can't actually have sex with them, or if you can, it's going to be very, very few and far between. So having another partner that might have a higher libido can actually balance things like that out. But again, you have to have an open line of communication. But I'm sure that none of that was considered when the person wrote this article. I'm like 90% certain that the person who's writing this article doesn't even know that that's a thing. So, that said, and yes, no, Nicole Amara, this shit is not awesome. This shit is bad. Also, Ronald, that is awesome that you have a little. That's great. So, let's continue. Said, it is utterly ludicrous to say that as so many Christian teachers have falsely taught, that if a woman does not take other men yet refuses to take her husband, that she is still being faithful to him. If she does not take her husband, she is guilty of unfaithfulness to him. This is saying that not having sex with your husband is the same thing as cheating. No, that's... The amount of times that I've had to say, no, that's not how any of this works when I'm talking about biblical gender roles is starting to get a little old. I recognize that really, like functionally, there's not a whole lot more that I can say than that on some of this stuff. But let's be honest. If you do not want to have sex with your partner for one reason or another, let's just say they're too rough, you don't have a libido, you're asexual, you can be asexual and still be romantic. There's asexual panromantics that fall into this category. That's not being unfaithful in no way, shape, or form. But, see, Beth says the problem that they're likely referring to is when the wife never has sex with the husband a couple times per year. That is cheating someone out of sex with their spouse. Except it's not cheating out. It cannot be, and I know that the writer of this article doesn't mean it this way, because the writer of this article is a misogynist asswipe. I've already done some research into them, and it's kind of scary. But the problem I have with those is there's no such thing as cheating your partner out of sex, because that implies that sex could have been owed in the first place. You can't be cheated out of something that you don't own, and you don't own sex with your partner. So, if that's what they meant, though, and you might be right, Beth, that that's what they meant, then it's still disgusting. Like, that's not a thing that should be considered. Josiah says, I just saw Tinhautwa. This is not how any of this works. Oh, this is not how any... Oh, it's an abbreviation. Okay, awesome. Your Magic Sky Daddy demands you procreate. Marriage without procreation makes Magic Sky Daddy very unhappy. It's a very Catholic way of looking at it. So, in the church, we are often taught that sexual immorality, otherwise known as fornication, has to do with sexual acts that God does not allow, like homosexual acts, premarital acts, and adultery. But the Bible clearly teaches that there is a type of sexual immorality that we can actually commit by not having sex. The Bible teaches there is a type of sexual immorality that we can commit by not having sex. No, that is not a thing. Okay. We find this teaching in Paul's first letter to the Corinthian church. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. No, that's not how that works. So I understand that Paul very well could have meant have, as in have sex with, at that time. Problem is that this is a KJV, and the KJV is notoriously inconsistent with its usage of words. It's a horrible translation of the Bible that most biblical scholars actually don't even fucking look at. It was cobbled together in 1611, and it's not even using the oldest Greek documents and manuscripts possible. It was using stuff from like the mid-1500s. So the King James Version is not a reliable version of the Bible to use for jack shit. But let's assume that it was. and that Paul was talking about that. At that point, it would say to avoid fornication, have sex with your spouse instead of having sex with somebody else. That's what I would read that as. Not that not having sex with your spouse is a type of fornication. Yet that seems to be what the author is indicating. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one the other, except be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again. LOL. That Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. My brain. I say that I need sleep, and then I never actually fix that problem, so I'm just going to stop complaining about sleep. So, there's a few problems I have here. One, when it says the wife doesn't have power over her own body and the husband has no power over his own body. Bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. As an example, let's say that you find yourself in one of these sexless relationships. Just let's say that's the case. And yet you feel the need to masturbate because you need to get some type of sexual release out. There is no point in time where your partner can dictate how you masturbate. That's not a thing they can dictate because it's not their body, it's yours. What you're doing to pleasure your own body is your own business. If you want to stick a finger up your butt, go ahead. There's nothing that's stopping you, and your partner can't stop you. So when I read stuff like this, what I'm reading is that it's trying to say that, well, the wife doesn't have power over her own body, but the husband doesn't have power over his, as a method to make it sound like it's egalitarian, as a method to make it sound like things are equal here. But they're not. Because the author says, I believe in this article and has said in many other articles, that women and men are wired differently, which is kind of true. There is a higher level of gray matter in a man's brain, a higher level of white matter in a woman's brain. Usually. If there's not, a lot of times that leads to types of dysphoria, and then you get into issues of gender dysphoria. That's not the conversation we're having right now, and again, that's giving a lot more nuance to what this guy is trying to say. So, the thing is that this person has said on several articles before that men have a higher sexual desire than women. So, if a woman has less sexual desire, or in this case, maybe none, then she has to just submit to the man. It's like saying that a poor person, let's say that there's a person with $1,000 in their bank account and a person with $200 in their bank account, and they say that, well, everything that's in both their bank accounts is equal. Well, except it's not really equal, because the person with $200 can spend from a $1,000 pool, and the person with $1,000 could only spend from the $200 pool. It's worded in a way to make it sound like it's equal, but it's certainly not. If the woman is never going to really force the man to have sex, or any time that she would, the man would want it anyway, but the man is going to ask the wife to have sex in times where she's not going to want to, then that doesn't work. That's not going to be fair. Or if it's opposite, if it's completely opposite, because there are cases where the man has a much smaller libido than the woman. Man doesn't want to have sex, woman wants to have sex. That doesn't mean the woman gets sex. That means the woman wants to have sex and may or may not get it. Guy wants to have sex, woman doesn't want to have sex. That doesn't mean guy gets sex. So I've had a theory running for a while about this author, and I think that it's probably true. Probably true. I could be wrong. But they have stated that they've gone through a divorce once and have a new wife now, and they've only ever had two partners. Or only two marital partners, rather. I'm firmly of the opinion that this person is actually abusing their wife in some way, shape, or form, and that these articles are their method of maintaining that abuse. Basically using the Bible as an authority in order to be that abusive person. And it could also be that the wife doesn't even realize this is happening, because this might just be seen as normal. You see this in a lot of cultish communities where people don't even realize they're being exploited and realize that they're being abused. So I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's the case. And the author has every ability to respond to me and tell me that that's not the case, and I'd even like to have them on my channel for a discussion. However, they don't let any of my comments go onto their website, because I've already commented on a few of their articles, and those comments always get taken down. They even have an area about how they screen their comments in their About section, so it's not even something that I can fault them for. Well, I can. I don't think that you should screen comments. I think constructive criticism shouldn't have a filter, but this person thinks that they should have one, which is stupid. But that said, so how does a man and woman avoid fornication according to God's word? In 2 ways. Have sexual relations with your spouse on a regular basis to avoid fornication outside the marriage. That is a red flag. That is a freaking red flag. And here's why. When you word something like that, let's take into consideration everything that this person has said so far on their blog. Having sexual relations with your spouse on a regular basis to avoid fornication outside the marriage. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that what that is referring to, and what it seems to be referring to, is that the wife needs to have sex with him, or he will seek sex outside the marriage. It's holding cheating as this label of punishment. You don't have sex with me, you get punished emotionally by him cheating, or him threatening to cheat. And then, here's the catch-22. Do not deny sex to your spouse to avoid fornication, both inside the marriage, by denying them their right, it's not a right, and also outside the marriage, by tempting them to have sex outside the marriage by your denial. If you do not have sex with your partner, that is not temptation for them to have sex outside your marriage. They might be tempted to do so, but you are not tempting them. This is victim blaming. This now puts all of the blame, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, on his wife, because this seems to be a running theme. All of the blame is on his wife if she doesn't have sex with him. You don't have sex, you're fornicating now, and you're forcing me to fornicate. It's turning the wife into Eve. The wife is the reason that both Eve and Adam are going to sin. It's honestly kind of gross. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not the grossest thing that I've read on this website. But having essentially an apologetic that says that if you don't have sex with me, I'm going to cheat on you. And not only am I going to cheat on you, but you're going to be committing a sin by allowing me to cheat on you. That entrapped somebody into having sex with you whenever you want on your whim. It doesn't justify cheating. I don't think there's really a justification for cheating. There are circumstances where I think that maybe it's not the absolute worst possible scenario, and usually it's a circumstance of abuse. If you have somebody who is trying to get away from an abuser and the state of the relationship is very muddy, and she needs to seek some type of relationship outside of that, the waters get kind of murky. But even then, there's still a conversation that can be had. There's no black and white, cut and dry there. So when I see something like this, not only am I saying, I could actually just use that example that I just gave and say that if the wife is being abused in this way, then she should go with somebody else and just screw this guy, but not actually screw this guy. The false mutual teaching of sex. How is it false? Please tell us, oh wonderful arbiter of morality. Today, we have many Christian teachers who actually ask us to ignore the very words that we have in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. When it is true that 1 Corinthians 7, 2-5 teaches that both men and women need sexual relations, it does not teach sexual relations between man and women are based on mutual desire. Well, of course not, because you've had so many apologetics about the fact that your wife doesn't desire sex as much as you do, but she still needs to do it with you. No. In fact, it teaches the very opposite. The passage teaches that sex in a marriage is both a right and a responsibility of both the husband and wife. The only decision which must be mutual regarding sex is the mutual decision by both the husband and wife to discontinue sex for a short period only. What? No. If the sex is discontinued, the sex is discontinued. Period. If they don't want to have sex, that is just how it is. They don't want to have sex. Period. And they don't need to have sex. Period. So, if I've gotten anything wrong, please let me know in the live chat. Please. If there's something that I'm misrepresenting in this article so far, please let me know. I don't think I am, but I'm also only one person. I could be very, very wrong. Okay. Now, continuing. Why I teach so much on the sexual immorality of sexual defraudment. Wait a minute. The need to expose wives' sexual defraudment before the church. Why I teach so much on sexual immorality of sexual defraudment. But, okay. I'm probably reading one of those things wrong. As a Christian, I believe the gospel of Christ, the reality of heaven and hell, and the teaching that the Bible is the inerrant word of God are perhaps the most important doctrines we as Christians must teach and affirm. However, that does not mean that these are the only important doctrines, and while we do have a lot of false gospels being spread, I want to talk to them about the Gnostics. Anyway, today, as there were in the early church era... Oh yeah, they are talking about the Gnostics. Neat! Thankfully, there are still preachers and teachers who are faithful to the true gospel of Christ and the inerrancy of the word. Except you're teaching from the King James Version, my dude. That's not the inerrant word. If anything, the New American Standard Bible is a much more accurate translation that actual scholars give more of a shit about than your King James Version piece of garbage. Anyway, we even have a lot of Christian preachers and teachers today teaching that God does not want us to follow the evil ways of our culture. To this I say amen and amen. So, what evil ways? I'd like you to clarify. He's not going to. The Apostle Paul gave us this very command not to conform to the sinful ways of our culture in this letter to the Christians in Rome. And be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good, or prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Okay, but what immorality of the culture? Because from what I understand, historically, Christianity has basically said that the culture is always sinful. The culture is always bad. The culture is always something that you don't want to conform to. And while I am generally kind of counterculture, so I at least understand the thought process behind it, this causes somebody to become an isolationist, where in order to not conform to the culture, they will put themselves in an in-group and force the culture to be the out-group. And in a situation like this where there's obviously somebody to be abused, that's the fastest way to make it to where nobody can ever get help. If nobody can accept help from outside secular culture, or even other religious cultures that are just less damaging than this, by saying that they need to never seek any help from those culture, or from that culture, you're allowing them to stay in abuse. But I think that there's really not a whole lot to say about whether or not there is abuse happening here. It most certainly is happening, at least in some form or fashion. So, we will hear a pastor teach from his pulpit that we should not have sex outside of marriage as our culture encourages. I think I broke. I think I've broke. So, this could mean two things. And if it means one thing, then I understand where they're coming from, and it's horrible, but I understand it. If it means the other thing, then I'm broken. Scenario A, it's talking about premarital sex, in which case I can understand it. Not that I agree with it. but that I can understand why, from a fundamentalist Christian perspective, they might have the idea that premarital sex is encouraged by our culture. Honestly, I think any type of premarital sex should be encouraged, personally. And here's why. I don't think the Institute of Marriage is a thing that we need to keep so much anymore. It's a wonderful thing. I love people getting together and staying together as long as they want. But I do think that having the checks and balances that marriage has, I'm not a huge fan of them. Other people can be. That's their own business. I have no issue with that. If somebody else wants to get married, by all means. It's not something that I personally want to do. But I don't think that that's what they're talking about. It could be, but it could also be saying that society is telling people to have sex outside of their marriage, like cheating. But if that's the case, if it is the case that this is what they're talking about, I don't think society on the whole condones cheating. I've never really seen any examples that are large enough and on a wide enough scale to be influential to everyone that I would consider that to be the case. Cheating is romanticized a little bit in media, but even then, it usually comes with some kind of consequence. So, the idea that that's kind of the cultural norm outside of the Christian marriage doesn't make any sense to me. Like, and if you want marriage for legal reasons, Clade, then that's fine. People want to get married for the legal benefits that come with marriage. That is neat. Though I would kind of prefer if a lot of those legal rights were just given to people on the merits that they exist, not on the merits that they're in a relationship. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Then again, a lot of things in societal norms don't make a lot of sense to me. So, it says amen to that. But then this same pastor preached doctrines that conform to our American cultural values, and at the same time directly contradict biblical commands. I'm turning into a smaller, smarter Rush Limbaugh. I don't want to be a Rush Limbaugh. That would suck. These pastors will condemn men for not loving their wives while remaining sinfully silent on the wife's call to submit to her husband in everything? The wife's call to submit to her husband... Oh, this is just referring back to all of those older, shittier articles. No, and I agree with you, Clade. There needs to be other methods of replicating the rights that marriage grants, but I do think that until then, we do have the system that we have right now, and I don't think we can just throw the system out without having to replace it with a new one. So we agree there. There does need to be some type of other alternative. JJ says at Sirius, you clearly haven't had enough unhealthy relationships. Actually, funny story, I have had quite a few of unhealthy relationships. I do not want to revisit some of the things there, and it wasn't just my partner that was unhealthy, mind you. I was also an unhealthy individual in many of these scenarios as well. I was a problem just as much as any partner that I had at the time there. So I do not want to put myself onto a pedestal and say that, oh, I'm this great, wonderful person, and my exes were bad to me, and thus the relationship was bad. No, I was bad too. I was really not that great. So I've had unhealthy relationships before. I've been there. It's not fun. I think that if you're in an unhealthy relationship, you need to fix it or get out, but don't spend so much time fixing it that you break yourself. So, that's just me. Let us scroll down. The unfortunate truth is that today, even among those who preach the true gospel, oh, no true Scotsman, my favorite. We all told you to lay off on the hentai, Cyrus. I don't want to lay off on the hentai. Especially considering that there's like a really awkwardly attractive Rule 63 of my character now. I still don't know how to feel about that. Banana Jr. says, what? Are you not an animated character all the time? I mean, I've been an animated character most of the time on my channel, but I've been doing the live shows for a while, so no, not really. I've actually done one or two video responses, just like the 8 and 10 minute video responses that didn't have the avatar too. Purple Rhymes with Orange, Rule 63 of the internet is that anything that exists that is male has a female version of it as well, and anything that exists that is female has a male version of it as well. It's basically saying that anything that exists can and will be gender bent. So, also, if you guys want examples of what I'm talking about, please join my Discord, because in the artwork and fan art sections of my Discord, you will see some gender bent artwork of me. Clade says, I thought this version of Cyrus was just a CGI interpretation of his avatar. It might as well be. Someone make the male Cyrus and Rule 63 Cyrus hentai. No, God, no. Oh, God. I'm 90% certain there's at least one or two of the artists on my Discord server that are watching this right now. And I just voiced that. Oh, God. I'm going to see some weird shit. I'm going to see some weird shit in my Discord soon. They were right. I'm going to have to put a not safe for work section in there. Anyway. It says, good. Another space inside the internet that I never visited, nor would I. Said you should totally just use a Rule 63 version of your avatar in an opening one time to mess with people. I wanted to use it in an opening at one point. Hold on, let me pull up a thing. I'll go ahead and show you guys, since we're here. We are talking about biblical gender roles, so I'll go ahead and give you a sneak peek. I'm going to do an official reveal of this fan art like I've been doing on my channel here in, I think, tomorrow. But until then, this... Is that safe for YouTube? I think that's safe for YouTube. Should be safe for YouTube. This was the version of my avatar that was shown on Discord. So, enjoy. And I'm going to get this video taken down. I know for a fact, because I think that picture is safe for YouTube, but it could also not be safe for YouTube. Hey, Soraka is on my phone. Completely forgot to turn that down. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and take that off the screen now. So, yeah, that is a thing that was on my Discord. If you want to see stuff like that, then that is in the fan art section of my Discord. But again, there's no nipples, so shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be. Anyway, continuing and hopping off of that topic. This is why God led me to create this blog back in April 2014. God led me to stand in this gap and call my fellow Christian brothers and teachers back to the true teaching of God's word regarding gender roles. Gender roles got completely fucked when it came to looking at my avatar. Regarding gender roles, as well as sexuality from a biblical perspective. This is why many of my teachings on this site focus on a defense of masculinity, patriarchy, male sexuality, and sexual rights from a biblical perspective. The exchange rate is 75 cents today. Do the math. Oh. I'm assuming that comes out to 666. TV Tube, I'm still distracted myself. Oh dear. Why are male nipples okay but not female nipples? I've never gotten that. Purple runs with orange. Even if somebody reports it, they're going to look in there and just be like, yeah, it's lewd, but it's not nude. So, that'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. Worst case scenario, everything will be okay. God damn. Jack's just like, man, now I got a Surus boner. Nobody should have a Surus boner. Aaron for 199 says, thought to say hi. Thanks, Aaron. By the way, anybody who doesn't know, Aaron is actually also another YouTuber. We're going to be doing a collaboration on the New Independent Fundamental Baptists here in a few days-ish. I'm not 100% certain of how and when yet. We're still working that out. But that said... should I embarrass Erin? I kind of want to. It's her birthday, so we'll go ahead and just embarrass her there as well. These are all people who frequent my Discord. That's the only reason that I know this stuff. Clay just says, more importantly, no one wants to hear about Cirrus boners. Oh, God. Oh, and somebody's calling me from somewhere in Georgia. Oh, no. I seem to have lost my ability to actually do anything about that. Darn. So, the amount of times that I've had to go back to this. Empowering Christian men with steps to confront their wife's sexual defraudment. Because apparently, not having sex with your husband is defrauding them. It's fraudulent. Shouldn't do it. SNL Bombong for 66.69. But I'm not exactly 100% certain on what the conversion rate is there. I think it's a lot, but I could be super wrong. But it's 666.69, so it's like the perfect combination of numbers. Perfect. But I have no idea how much that is. Is defraudment an actual word? I think it is. Let me see here. Defraudment. Noun, defraudment. Countable and uncountable plural defraudments. Privatation by fraud, defrauding. Yeah, no, defraudment is a word. It's certainly a word in the English language. Aaron says, Cirrus, it's about $2. Okay, cool. I'm fine with that. $2 is just, I think a euro is about 85 cents in the U.S. I mean, if it's $2, I'm happy with that as well. Doesn't bother me. I'm just happy when people donate in because it helps pay for groceries and it helps pay for equipment. So when you guys do that, it makes me happy. Period. I don't care if it's $1. If it's $100, obviously I'm like completely stoked. But if it's $1, I'm just like, oh, that's exciting. This is why Patreon's great. I prefer having $1 and $2 patrons where I can, because having a lot of those is a lot more reliable, and it doesn't cost people as much to get content that I'm throwing out for free anyway. So there's that. Beth says, do you beat Cirrus boners off with giant hammers? Do you beat Cirrus boners off with giant hammers? I don't know. Let's find out. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. That would be painful. And I don't feel like hitting myself in the nuts with that. Kawisa says that it's actually $75. Then if it is $75 or $76, then I am infinitely floored by that. That is amazing. Thank you. It's going to help out a lot, especially because here in about 4 months, in an ideal world, assuming that nothing breaks, me and Pam are actually moving into a house that we've picked up. Not an apartment like we're in right now, but an actual house, and I'll be setting up an actual studio area for this that's going to have soundproof padding and all of that fun stuff. Unfortunately, though, being in a house instead of being in an apartment means that we will have to afford repairs on things as opposed to calling the landlord to come fix things. So large amounts of money like that are coming in, that is incredibly helpful because that's going to help us live. So thank you. That is amazing. And Jack says, sorry for what I've done to your chat. Oh, it's fine. It's completely fine. You haven't done anything horrible to it yet. So, SN Balmung, thank you very much. That is awesome. Let us continue with, in May of 2015, I published an article entitled 8 Steps to Confront Your Wife's Sexual Refusal. I guess we'll just have to read that article at some point soon. In the article, I detailed 8 steps that Christian men could take in confronting sexual defraudment on the part of their wives. This article has since become one of the top 5 viewed pages on this blog. Just click that over there. We'll look at that in a minute. Has about 800,000 views. You've screwed over 800,000 people. How awesome. I made some edits to this article over the last few years, but essentially it has remained the same. Here are the 8 steps I list for men in confronting their wives' sexual refusal. Now, here's the funny thing. They don't actually list what these things mean. They have a separate area that you're supposed to go to look for it. Doorknob says Cirrus had a fight with his lawnmower. Actually, no. I got tired of dealing with the fluffy hair, so it'll come back. Don't worry. It just takes time. So, yeah, this website's been going on since 2014. Nothing's happened to it. Granted, I don't think they should be taken off the internet because I still am a free speech advocate. But at the same time, like, there are some times in here where I think that people can actually be harmed reading stuff in here. So I don't know. There's an awkward part of me that has, like, the free speech part goes, keep it up because it exposes a horrible thing. There's the other part of me that goes, well, they don't allow for free speech on their own blog, so maybe just to quay them. Don't know. Screwed over 800,000 people, polyamory for the win. That seems... That's... Even for me, that's excessive. That is excessive. And, like... I say that's excessive as somebody who's actually gone to, like, a giant sex party before. So even me, yes, that's excessive. 800,000 is a big number. That's a scary number. I don't want to be anywhere near that number. So step 1, rebuke her privately. Well, let's see what they mean by that. Okay. 8 steps to confront your wife's sexual refusal. Let's see here. Do you actually list these in a way that I can read them? Step 1, rebuke her privately. Sweet! We're here. We can actually... They didn't decide to summarize it in their other article, so I'm going to have to read them in this article. Yeah, no, I agree. If they want to have free speech, they should allow for unedited comments to come in. So, let us look through here. Step 1, rebuke her privately. Rebuke your wife's sin to her in private. This assumes that you have already on several occasions tried speaking with her gently to her about this issue. You have tried time and again to find out if there is anything you can do to help her with or anything you can do differently. This assumes that you have ruled out health problems or other mental problems, and she simply has a stubborn and willful attitude towards sex and marriage and does not think she needs to change. Okay, so problem. Also, I just got more subscribers, which is cool. I'm not going to announce subscribers in because I have the image really, really small and I can't actually see it. So, but step 1, rebuke her privately. What does this mean? Well, I think it's fairly obvious. The way that it's framing his wife having a stubborn and willful attitude. If I think that I deserve sex from you in any way, shape, or form, then I'm sorry, but I would assume, and I would almost do this with my partner as well. Just, I'll be perfectly honest. If you think you deserve sex from me at any point, I will probably just not have sex because you think you deserve it. Because if you're the type of person that thinks you deserve sex, then you don't deserve it and you will not receive it. Period. So if the husband in this situation thinks he deserves sex from the wife and the wife is being stubborn and willful, good. Be more stubborn than willful. But Askins just says, I just unsubscribed and then subscribed so I can see my name pop up. Jesus. Guys are going to make me have to remove the nifty sound effects and stuff. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that to you. As long as it doesn't get abused, I'm fine. Step 2, stop taking her on dates or trips. Oh, okay. If the brother or sister in Christ who sins, oh boy, the incest jokes. Anyway, against you is outside the authority of your home, then you would go to witnesses next. But since your wife, also hi trickster, but since your wife, like your children, is under your direct authority, what? No. You have a biblical obligation to discipline her before taking this outside your home. The next 4 steps use the 2 types of discipline that a husband has at his disposal: time and money. What? No. For some women, money means nothing, but almost all women highly value their husband's time. So you're treating sex now like a bartering device. You barter time and money to your wife, and therefore you receive sex. I am not against that in principle. for the same reason that I think that sex workers should be allowed to work legally. I'm not against that in principle. Here's the thing, though. I know that his reason and my reason for not being against this are completely different. In my case, I think that if somebody wants to be an escort and they can do it safely and that's what they want to do, cool. That's fine. Let them do what they want to do. It's their body. If somebody values their sex and they're willing to sell it, interesting. That's fine. But here, it's being used not as a standard method of barter, which it would be in the case of an escort. Here, it's being used as, the word isn't blackmail, but it's being used to hold it over somebody's head. You're threatening the revocation of time and money. Josiah Hansen says that, I like the sound effects. This is for Peter Pan. Oh, Josiah, I believe you were the one that commented that said that you couldn't stand the fact that you and Discount Hoven share a name. I should not have said that live. I know that you have your name on there as your actual username, so it's not like a huge deal. But at the same time, I think that you're the better Josiah between you and Discount Hoven. I know that's not saying a lot, but I do think that you are. Also, this is for Peter Pan. Okay, never mind. That part of the comment has now made you maybe less than Discount Hoven in that one regard. Just that one. Just that one regard. Yes, Jack, it would be like me saying that your name is Jack Fisher is doxing. Except that's your name right there on the chats. Pure Ostentation says you can't go on a date or trip without me. I own you. Yeah. I don't even know if those are your real names, by the way. It could be. It could not be. My real name might be Cirrus, but one day I might legally change it. Who knows? I don't care. I've been using the name since I was like 12. It's been with me longer than this channel has. Let me scroll up. There was something else that is... come on. Bible-thumping wingnut does not even know how to spell egalitarianism. Adam Forge and Ronald Popple said that it's called extortion. Okay, yes, and that is the issue here. Cirrus, the problem with your argument is that the entire premise is based on magic all-seeing Sky Daddy. Whose rules got put in a magical book that you are not following? I am not following the Sky Daddy magic. Withholding sex is emotional blackmail or abuse. If it keeps up, see a freaking lawyer. Is withholding sex emotional blackmail or abuse? I mean, if you're withholding it to punish somebody, then yeah, but at the same time, it's your body. The other person doesn't have a right to it. So, Dino Doubtful isn't just my avatar, and I choose the name because Dinobot was taken, or Dinobotful, not Dino Doubtful. Alias fake name? What? That's not your real name? I was sure, though. I was sure your name was alias fake name. I think it is. There, pop the neck there. Stop taking your wife to her favorite restaurants. Stop taking her out to those movies that she wants to see. Don't take her on those weekend getaways she wants to go on. I'm not saying stop talking to your wife or ignore your wife, as that is not an option for a Christian husband. Of course it only matters that it's a Christian husband. It's stupid. But your wife does not have the right for you to take her on dates and trips. This is true. There is no obligation to take your wife on a date or trip, but there's also not an obligation for her to have sex with you, dude. Mow the lawn or no nookie. That's hilarious. Smitty says, my body is public domain. Oh, dear. Just got a message on League, but I have no idea from who. Oh, it's a message in a group chat. I care significantly less now. No unnecessary household upgrades, blender, stove, apron, spatula. I mean, you have no right to insist that another adult stop having sex. Okay. I'm not going to insist that they stop having sex. They want to have sex, that's their own business. Cool. I'm not going to insist that at all. Anyways, Step 3, no unnecessary household upgrades. Ordinarily, I am all for a husband funding things like new furniture for the house or new paint for the walls. Wives will come to their husbands for these and many other household things. What you need to do as a husband is, unless there's a true family need, not just an upgrade or something, do not allow it. So, if she's not having sex with you, do not upgrade anything in the house. It seems like you're shooting yourself in the foot too, sir. Like, let's say you don't have a crock pot, and it's an upgrade to get a crock pot for the house. You're preventing yourself from getting 6 and 8 hour long cooked stewed meals. That's on you. That sucks. Okay, continuing. Step 4, stop doing the little extra things. You know those dinners you cook or that vacuuming you do? I mean, yeah, it's a new appliance. That is different. Fair. But you simply have been trying to be nice and doing for her. Stop doing them. Stop giving her those nice back and shoulder massages she loves so much. Because she doesn't want to have sex with you. Okay? I mean, if you want to be a child, I guess, and you want to just revoke things from people because they don't want to have sex, which you're not entitled to in the first place, neat. I'll be honest, I've been in a relationship where I've considered acting this way, but looking back at it, that's not the right way to handle this. So, extra things, food, time out of the dungeon. Oh, God. If somebody's not having sex with you, we'll not talk about having an open marriage. The option is divorce. Or if that's somehow prohibited, the other person has prevented your sexuality. I mean, that's fair if they're... But again, remember that I'm poly, so for me, if I'm not having sex with a partner, then that just means that there might potentially be another partner where that's something that can be done. However, in this particular case, it does seem that that would not be an option that these people would consider. I don't think that's an option that he would consider in any way, shape, or form. I think, I could be wrong, but I think that if I were to have a conversation with this person and I brought that up as a rebuttal, they would probably say that polyamory or an open marriage or anything like that is completely out of the question. Smitty says Cersei is swimming in Putang. I'm not. Pam might... God, this is a weird announcement. Is this where I should say this? There's a potentiality that Pam here in the next month and a half is actually going to be dating a new girlfriend. And I'm incredibly excited for her because I know the person that she's going to be dating. I'm friendly with them as well. We've played video games together. That's going to be awesome. And I can't wait. I am not going to be dating this person. However, it's not a thing that I'm going to be doing. That's her girlfriend, her business. What they want to do in their private time is going to be on them. And me, however, I only have Pam. And that's fine with me. That doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form. I've got friends, and I play video games with those friends. That makes me happy. Anyway, that said, that's a potentiality. I don't know if that's ultimately what's going to happen with them. I am hoping that it does. That has been what has been in talks on their side. And they came to me with the conversation, and I was like, I mean, yeah, if you guys want to date, that's fine. Cool. What am I going to... I'm poly. That's not a new thing to me. Yeah, no, Jack, I agree. Unicorn hunters are bad. I'm not a fan of them. They're stupid. Mark Caesar says, let's find a guy for Cirrus. No, get drag. I'm here for your Cirrus. So I am also, while I am poly, I'm also like nightmarishly cis and hetero. So I find no attraction in male anatomy. So guy's not really going to do it for me. Pam is Pam. So she finds attraction in both types of anatomy and anything that happens to be in between. That's good for her. Me, I'm not. But let's continue with the misogyny. Step 5, remove her funding. This step may only work if your wife does not have her own income. Stop giving her pocket money, change her bank account so her ATM card becomes worth... What? What? Okay, so like in some cases I can understand this. If you are in a situation where you think that you and your wife might be getting a divorce and you want to secure your finances, changing your bank account, fine. Smitty says, what about a feminine penis? Oh my boy. And then Jack says, have my baby. No. Nah. I'll pass. Okay, so in a situation where you're having to secure your finances because you think a divorce is imminent or anything like that, yeah, I can understand that there. But if you're basically saying that, look, you can't use any money that you might need to live because I'm not getting poon, no. That's problematic at best, abusive at worst. Cancel your credit cards. If she does have a job, stop paying for anything in her name and make her pay for any credit that's in her name. Okay, that's fair. I mean, at least that one I can agree with. If you're in that situation and you don't want to pay for things and she already has a job, then let her do her own thing. Cool. The Bible only requires that you provide her with food, clothing, and shelter. It does not say that food and clothing has to be the fancy kind she likes to get. Wait, what? Adamant Forge says, Step 5, full-blown extortion. This is why I hate traditional marriages where the man controls all the finances and decisions because it keeps women and kids trapped inside abusive household. Yeah. Yeah. They've got marriage down to a long-term contract of sex for money. Generally, those are for a few hours, night, or weekend. Yeah, sex for money is normally a short-term thing. That is like an escort service, which, again, I have no issue with. This, though, is extorting sex from your spouse, and I'm just... it's tempting. It's really tempting. I should hit myself so hard that I forget everything that I've read so far. But I'm gonna remain sane. I'm gonna remain sane for a little bit. It's gonna be fine. I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna get to step 8 at the very least. I'm gonna do it. Hit yourself. Don't let your dreams be dreams. If you do, you'd get a lot more viewers, though. I mean, yes, injuring myself would get me a higher viewership. But I haven't quite hit the point where it's necessary. And when it becomes necessary, you'll all know. You'll all know. I'll know. You'll know. The cranial damage I'll suffer from it, it will know too. As if cranial damage has agency. If your wife has not repented and changed her ways after you these first 5 steps, change her ways after you these first 5 steps, you are sure to have a very angry and defiant wife. The little bit of sex there was in your relationship is most likely completely gone. At any one of these points, your wife could have threatened to leave, or has already left. You may be separated or in divorce proceedings. Yeah, you might be. And again, if you're in divorce proceedings, then yes, securing your own finances is cool, but you can't use that as a method of extortion. Beth says, that's when I divorced my constantly refusing ex-husband. I got tired of hitting myself in the head with a hammer. Fair. I'd pay big money for a video of the author of this article hitting himself with a doom hammer. I'm not the only one, right? Beth says he kept saying he'd change until the threat of my leaving was over, but it didn't. Yeah, no, usually when you've got a situation like that, you just kind of have to do what you want to do. I have a story about that, but I don't think that's a story for today. It's kind of a personal one, and it's very few people that know about it. And I don't want to list off the people who know about it. But let's continue. We'll go ahead and get to step 6. Or we'll say, first of all, this is where we begin the final phase of confronting your wife's sexual refusal. Sorry, that looked epic, so I had to say it. And Beth, I do agree in some cases that it can be a type of emotional abuse. Again, the story that I have, that I'm not going to say right now, deals with that a little bit. Again, there's not an entitlement, but if you're refusing and the other person does have sexual needs and you don't give them any other outlets, then yes, I can see that as being problematic. Uzi, my special, says, "That voice made me moist." What kind of relationships are these? How is sex the problem? Clearly, the people involved don't get along. Like, sex is tangential to the actual problems. Sometimes there's sexual incompatibility while everything else in the relationship is fine. Step 6, rebuke her before witnesses. If she is still defiant, after you've tried all forms of biblical discipline with her, take her to a Christian marriage counselor so that they can serve as a witness to her sinful defiance. That is not how this works. You do not go to counseling to have a witness for defiance. You go to counseling to fix shit. But make it clear as you seek a counselor what your beliefs are to that counselor, and that this is not about changing your beliefs. It's about having a witness to your wife's sin. All right, it's happened. It has fucking happened. I thought it was going to be step 8. It was step 6. I was one step away. Step 7. Done with that. Bring her before the church. Ow. There's like a pinging sensation in my head now. I think I hit it too hard. If bringing her to a counselor does not shake her defiance after you have tried all other forms of discipline, okay. The fact that these are viewed as discipline is the problem. Ocean, send it to a new world. Like, there's the problem. That's the actual problem, is that these 7 steps are seen as disciplinary actions. These should be seen as steps to repair what's in your relationship. Something is broken in your relationship. It's either your sexual incompatibility or the fact that you're a fucking abuser. Something is broken. And you're supposed to be trying to fix it, but instead you're framing this as if you are not trying to fix the problem, but you are trying to fix the person. And it can't be you. It can't be you. Step 1 is the only step where there was even a modicum of introspection. No. That is not how this fucking works. If she is defiant to them, then she needs to be expelled from the church. I'm just gonna... Okay. That was, Okay. So, here's the fucking problem I have with this. So, let's get into it. Step 7, bring her before the church. If she's defiant, then she needs to be expelled from the church. Here's the issue with that. You are now not only tying the issues in your relationship to only being problematic and the sin of your wife, but you are now not just using extortion to prevent her from having funding or to prevent her from being able to do anything she wants to do. You are now, at this point, trying to ostracize her from your tribe. Tribalism is already problematic, and this is why tribalism is problematic, because it means that you can hang expulsion from the tribe as a fucking punishment. No! I'm smiling on the outside because I'm on a camera, and I'm dying on the inside because I'm a fucking human! Anyway. Let's get to number 8. Let us get to number 8 and see what happens. What if none of these 7 steps work? If your wife remains willfully defiant, because again, the problem couldn't be you, yet she has not left you, so she has to leave you. It could be for a variety of reasons. She might not want to lose how she lives with you, or how she knows that after a divorce, her lifestyle will be severely affected. She does not want to deal with the consequences of divorce. Perhaps she may have some genuine care for you left because it's the care for you that's at question, of course, you fucking abusive dillhole. As well, the consequences of divorce. Perhaps she may have some genuine care for you left, as well as your children. But, so the children are now brought into this. That's neat. But she simply cannot see the error of her ways. Neither can you. And will hold out indefinitely with the hope that one day you will fold and give her back the money, the dates, the trips, and the household upgrades. Because that's what this is about. This is about an exchange of goods and services. That's all this is. But you have a final step you may take. One that you may need to pray long and hard before you do. You have the option to divorce her for her sexual immorality. Okay, if you guys are sexually incompatible, there are options. Open marriage is an option. Polyamory is an option. A fleshlight is an option. Sorry, no, that's not a perfect example. But point being, there are options. You've listed none of them in this blog. In fact, actually, what you've done in this blog is instead of listing options that could possibly be used to fix things or to maintain your relationship with somebody who I assume you love, instead, what you have listed here is ways to fix your wife, not your relationship. Your wife. You know what? Here's my option for the person in this article. They should pay an artist good money to draw Rule 63 of them. I mean, hell, Rule 63 of me exists. It's fine, whatever. Gender bend them, okay? So now there's a female version of this author. Perfect, because they'll be equally as misogynistic. Female version of this author. And now I want a company to take the picture of that author and plaster it onto a blow-up doll so that the author can effectively fuck themselves. Anyway, I had to get that out of my system. So, why bother with the first 7 steps if divorce is an option for sexual denial? Many Christians, Gaelic says, I'm game. Gaelic could make good Rule 63. I'm 100% certain. That would be a highly elaborate and inefficient revenge plan. But the highly elaborate and inefficient ones are the ones that the villains go for the most. We'll go with that. Many Christians would ask, if I have the right to divorce my wife for willful chronic sexual desire, why bother with any of these steps? The answer, my friend, is that God wants us to fight for our wives and for our marriage the way he fought for his marriage to Israel as a nation. You mean the marriage where he violated Israel? Ooh, that one? Phrasing! Eventually, he had to divorce Israel as a nation, but he fought long and hard to bring her back to him, and we owe our wives marriages as a fight. Gaelic says, you already know that I do it. Just give me time and a place. Okay. Oh! The author recognizes this. But aren't these steps a form of manipulation? Why, yes. Yes, they are. That's exactly what they are. Those who oppose this type of confrontation will accuse me of advocating that men manipulate their wives into having sex with them more. But what these same people would fail to understand is there's a big difference between manipulation and discipline. No. Not in the way you framed this. This is manipulation and extortion. The fact that you frame it as discipline makes it worse, actually. So. Oh, it gets fucking worse. Manipulation is when someone who's an equal or someone in a lower position tries to make life difficult for their fellow equal or for their authority. Discipline is very different from manipulation because discipline is performed by one who is in authority over one under their authority. What? You fucking what? Okay, no. Your wife is equal to you, you numbnuts piece of human garbage. I need to stop doing these episodes because you make me mad. Your existence makes me mad. I don't want to be a human being because I share a genome with you. What you're doing is manipulation. The difference between manipulation and discipline is not whether it happens from the top down. That is not the thing that makes these things different. What makes something manipulation is when you are manipulating. If you are manipulating as an authority on the way down, you are still manipulating. Can an employer manipulate their employees? Yes. Can a parent manipulate their child? Yes. And that gets into a really dark territory. The person who wrote this article, these two articles, because we've technically gone through two now, I normally don't like just the perfect... I normally don't want to do a one-to-one comparison here. I normally don't like to attack an individual. I try not to. I like to attack their arguments. And I've done a lot of attacking the arguments here. But I think the fact that this individual is arguing in the manner in which they are leads me to believe that this person is a flaming piece of human garbage and should not have a sexual partner until they learn what it's like to be an empathetic fucking human being. And yet, here we are in this situation where they have had 2 marriages, and of course they are writing these articles as an apologetic to prevent them from losing their fucking sex slave, I mean wife. I have had enough. This page has 800,000 views. So, I'm going to go ahead and say this. And I'm smacking my lips, that thing that I'm not supposed to be doing. After reading this article, multiple articles on this website, after having looked at their About Me section, after having seen the way that they don't like free speech in their comments, I'm not a fan of this person. I was already not a fan of this person. Jack Visser says, I'm a garbage human being. You take that back. Okay, look, sir. I wrote the book on how to be a garbage human being. It's called Being Me. Anyway. I'd say anyone would be totally justified because this person's a piece of garbage. I wouldn't attack them. That's no part of me would attack them, but I would certainly like to have them on the channel at some point in order to discuss their, how we say, more disgusting worldviews. Oh, wait, are there more disgusting worldviews for this person? I think literally the entire bag falls into that category at this point. Okay. So, that said, I've had enough of this article's bullshit. I've had enough of this author's bullshit. This is already going to be an interesting Monday, because after this, I have to edit tomorrow's video while angry. I know what I'll probably do to calm down, though. Gaelic says, I will fight you. Gaelic, why would you fight me? What did I do? So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop off of this article. I'm going to stop suffering through this nonsense. I'm not even going to get to the conclusion because I think we've had enough. I've looked through... How long have we been on the air? Not quite 2 hours. Hour and a half, something like that. I can't tell. All of my stuff's broken on my end. All of my information, I cannot see. So, I'm going to assume we've been here for at least an hour and a half. Something like that. If you guys would like to chat, at any point, my Discord is open. I'm probably going to be in the voice chat there here in a few minutes. I'm going to get things set up for editing so that I'm ready to do that a little later. But I'm going to have all of that setting up and getting ready. So if you guys would like to have chats after this, post-article discussion, or anything else you want to chat about, will be in the Discord. Follow the links that are in the description, and those will be there. Thank you to everybody who's done Super Chats today. That was awesome. Especially the large ones that are going to make it to where we can afford being in the house. All that stuff is excellent, and I thank you. That is how I'm able to continue doing what I love and bringing the stuff to you. Now, granted, there is an argument to be said that doing what I love is also a form of masochism. Especially after reading this article. So, I don't know, maybe there's an argument against me there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as something like this could potentially be enjoyable. And I'm going to be in the Discord here in a few. So if you guys want to chat, I'll be there. With that said, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm hopping out. The links to this article are in the description below if anybody would like to read the rest of it that I wasn't quite able to get to. I will see you guys later, and hopefully you enjoyed tomorrow's video.